Hey everyone, it's Sarah from Sassy Reads, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I read in 2018. I'm going to be talking about a couple of these books. I think I'm going to talk about 5. We'll see how many I can get crammed into one video. The first book I'm going to talk about is Reign of the Fallen by Glen Marsh. This book was published in January, and I got a copy of it as an ARC from First to Read, which is a Penguin program that they do for reviewers, and I am very grateful to Penguin for sending it to me. I was really excited about Reign of the Fallen because it follows Odessa, who is a necromancer within Carthia, and she is able to travel into the Deadlands with her boyfriend and lover, and they are able to bring the dead back so that they can return to the earth to fix whatever needs to be fixed. But something is going wrong in the Deadlands. Something has created monsters who have been in the Deadlands for a very long time, but there are more than there used to be, and so people are dying at rapid pace, especially the necromancers who are now being targeted. I gave this novel 3 stars. I think that this one's a favorite. From what I've seen since it's come out, it's been a favorite. I'm in the minority of not really liking it. I did like it. I thought it was a solid novel in the aspect that it accomplished being a good concept, but it lacked in characterization. I could not connect to any of the characters, and Marsh is not afraid to kill her characters, which is great, but it's also bad because I could not connect. Like, I was being introduced to these characters within 20 pages, and then they're dead within the next 15. And so, like, it's just, I wasn't able to form any bonds with them. And not only that, but there was this weird relationship that started with Odessa's lover's sibling, and if you don't know, Odessa is bisexual, so this is really interesting, but it led to a weird, like, I love your sibling now, and I felt like she was trying to replace one sibling with another, and that felt a little weird. So I kind of wish that she had a romance with someone else, but it's whatever. And I have a full-length review for Reign of the Fallen, so I'll just leave a link to that one, and you can go and check out all my thoughts, because sometimes I can't verbally explain all the problems I had. I write pretty darn well, though, or so I've been told. The next book I read was Deadly Sweet by Lola. I was also given an ARC of this by NetGalley and the publishers over at Ink Monster, and I am incredibly grateful. This was a fun witch novel. It follows Anise Wise, who is a baker, and she is a witch, and witches are known within this America. But the problem is that witches face a lot of prejudice, and Anise can't get into college to open a bakery. So her dream is to one day bake magical cakes all day. Well, and she ends up getting the opportunity after she ends up committing some crimes, and is sent to live with her great aunt and work as an apprentice. And it turns into a mystery as she has to find out what happened to the other apprentice, and does it have something to do with her? And yeah, it's fun. I gave this one 3 stars because it's a fun, fluffy novel. It's not the 3 stars that I gave to Reign of the Fallen. That one's because Reign of the Fallen had potential, but it didn't live up to it. This one's a solid 3-star novel. I can't see myself giving this novel more than 3 stars. This is the definition of a 3-star book for me, just because, like, it's fun, fluffy, and it's a quick read. It does what it needs to do, but it doesn't go beyond that, if that makes any sense. And then the next book I read is The Ultimate, that was such a weird way to hold up a book, The Ultimate Harry Potter and Philosophy, Hogwarts by Muggles. I have a full-length review for this one also on my Goodreads page. I haven't posted it on my blog. That's okay. You can go on my Goodreads and you can read whether you should skip any of these essays, read any of these essays. I give this whole collection 3 stars. I had to read this for a Harry Potter and philosophy class, and we read, like, I think 4 or 5 of these essays, but I was like, I'm going to read this one, and I'm glad that I read this collection, because in comparison to the other collection I had to read for that class, this one is the superior one, and I actually think that a lot of people would enjoy this, especially if you love Harry Potter, and if you're into philosophical musings and conversations. I think this one could spark up a good debate between some Harry Potter lovers, especially friends who love to debate. Or maybe a good, like, Harry Potter club discussion book. I don't know, whatever you can do a lot of things with that book. Next up, I finished an audiobook, but I also own this book, which is odd. Usually, I'll not own an audiobook that I already own a physical copy of, but I happen to acquire both of them. I have Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge, and this one's really pretty. Look at this. Boom. Look at that rose. I know. But anyway, I'm glad that I do own this, because it's a cute novel. It follows Nyx, who from her birthright has known that she is going to marry the Prince of Demons. And in the world that Nyx lives in, there is no sky. They're tormented by demons. And she has made a promise to her sister, one that she knows that she probably can't fulfill, to kill him. And Ignifex is, well, the Prince of Demons. And she and him have a really interesting dynamic relationship. This one's it's marketed as a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I do see that, but I also feel like it feels more Persephone's and Hades to me, predominantly just because this one is so immersed in Greek mythology. Within the world that Nyx lives in, the Greek gods are everywhere. This whole universe relies on Greek myth, and this is her religion, her gods. And it's really fascinating, because usually you don't see people worship the Greek gods, you just see them walking among humans and demigods and whatnot. But I really like this in a fantasy setting, and for that alone, I think I'd recommend that to people, just because it was different, and I feel like we should recognize writers who tackle different concepts and apply them in a way that we may have not thought about before. So, 4 stars. For this one, a solid 4 stars. Next up, I had an ARC of A Devil in Scotland. I was provided an ARC through NetGalley by St. Martin's Press, and I'm so happy I was, because I almost did not read this one, and this one is so good. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is my favorite of all these books that I'm talking about. It follows Cullum McCreek, who ends up being banished after he gets into an argument with his older brother, and his older brother is marrying this girl that they've been knowing since they were little, and he's jealous because he wanted to marry her, but he's been, doing his debauchery, and he's not ready to commit. Well, he tells them some things that aren't very nice, and he's pretty much just, kicked off. He's, said, you're disowned from this family. So he goes to Kentucky, and he starts his life there, and he owns a distillery, and he's, pretty famous for it. Well, his brother ends up being murdered by the man that he knew would murder him, and so he goes back to Scotland, and it creates this weird dynamic between the girl that he once loved, who is his sister-in-law and is the mother of his niece, but he also still loves her, and I really enjoyed it. I know I said it when I read Reign of the Fallen, that it made me really uncomfortable with this whole sibling thing. But this one was just done so well, and I felt like such a hypocrite while reading it, because I was living for this romance. It was just so good, and it's one of the best historical romances I've read in quite some time, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, these are the books that I've read. My favorite is A Devil in Scotland by Susan Enoch. I have a full-length review for that one, so I will leave it down below so you can go and find the novel and add it to your Goodreads, because believe me, it's one of those that you want to. So have you read any of these books? Let me know down below in the comments, and I hope to see you again in another video. Don't forget to subscribe, and bye! Happy reading!